Good morning. It's Monday morning and I'm looking sideways. Sorry, my camera's a little off skew. So anyway, it's Monday morning, Monday Momentum. We're here and we're happy to say that James is broadcasting live to us from CEO Space. It's the March 2016 Business Growth Conference that's happening now. I'll be joining in a couple days, but I'm still at home, as you can tell. And CEO Space is our favorite stomping ground. You hear us talk about it an awful lot, and it's how we met. James and I and Linda, who's a regular co-host on this show as well. We all met through CEO Space. And what CEO Space is gosh, it's pretty hard to explain. But let's say a great networking group, a great group of collaborators. We get together 5 times a year in Henderson, Nevada, to support each other in growing our businesses, to share our resources, share our wisdom and our knowledge, and to cheer each other on. So it's kind of like what we do here every Monday, but way bigger and better when we all get together and get to hug each other and high-five each other and celebrate together. So James is there doing that now. He'll tell us a little bit about the schedule and what's going on there in terms of classes and cool visitors that are coming through this time. But we've also just had some really sad news, and we wanted to make sure that we didn't ignore it. CEO Space is a family-owned business. It's run by the Dorman family, Bernie and September Dorman, and there's been a death in their family. So our CEO Space celebration and conference this time, I'm sure, will be a little bit different. It is a little bit different every time, but a lower key and a lower tone. And what we had planned to do today anyway was talk a lot about CEO Space, what James is seeing there now, and kind of memories and shared experiences. And we want to do that anyway. And we want to do that in acknowledgement of a huge amount of appreciation we have for the organization, for what Bernie and September have built and given us and shared with us over all these years. And to let them know they're loved and appreciated, and in a really tough time, we haven't forgotten all the cool stuff they've done. And so we're sending that out to them as well, and we hope the audience will. So James, there you are. Do you by any chance have a schedule that you can show us? I mean, for a second, I will show you. I've got.
Oh, the lighting got really good when I did that.
Look at all these old schedules. I saved them all. So yeah, hold it up again and talk, and I'll freeze you. So what's new and different? That's our schedule. Looks the same as always, but there's some new people this time. We have some new instructors, if I'm correct.
I'm looking at this live, literally. It was handed to me when I went down for breakfast this morning, and I've been going 92 miles an hour ever since. And so I haven't really had a chance to look at it, but I was stoked to see that Dan Clark is here, so I get to follow up on some conversations we were having. John Gray, men are from Mars and women are from Venus, is here.
I know, and you better go to that because I'm going to miss it. And I want you to go to that class so you can tell me about it. Promise?
Yeah, but I'm from Jupiter, so I lose both ways. Yeah, no, you know what? I will. When I didn't see when that was.
I think it's tomorrow or something. It's very early in the week, which is why I'm going to miss it. And it must be due to his schedule, because a speaker of that caliber would usually be later in the week. I imagine he couldn't be there Friday or Saturday, so that's why they're doing it that way. But he hasn't been there since I've been coming, and it's been 6 years that I've been going to CEO Space. Maybe this is my 7th. And I know that he's a legacy faculty. He's been on the faculty years ago, but hasn't been there since I've been there. So I really wish I could see him, and I'm charging you with going to do it. I know you don't always like to go to classes.
So there's this new little icon-y thingy here, and maybe it's been there and I've never seen it before.
Oh, the vetted faculty?
Huh?
Vetted faculty, is that what that is? I can't see it very well.
It says vetting, not vetted.
Oh, vetting. So they're in the process of being vetted?
Yeah, if you think Aaron Young is being vetted.
I don't know.
Or or David Gruder. I think it probably was supposed to say vetted.
So it might be a typo. That has happened. I know. I went through it online, but I'm afraid to try to share screens right now. I think there's one or two other people that I don't recognize that I'm hoping to get a chance to meet with, and I know some of our regular favorites are there again. I'm hoping to meet with Cheryl Connor and talk some more about the ghost editing stuff that we talked about last time. What is there anything there that stands out to you that you really want to make sure that you do?
Well, I don't think I've ever met Dave Austin, Keith Leon, and Lauren Solomon, but maybe I've met her.
Oh, you know Lauren. She's been there forever. Dave Austin works with, or worked with, Roger Anthony. And so he talks a lot about those same kinds of leadership skills.
My lighting gets really good when I hold this up.
Yeah, hold it like that forever. And Keith Leon is a publisher. He publishes books and helps authors get their books written and published. And then Lauren Solomon is, I want the right words and they're not coming to me. She works with your visual impact, let's say, style and the color and making sure that you are presenting yourself well, because first impressions are so important. So they've all been around a little while, and that'll be fun. Maybe you just need to get out of your room more. I know you like to hide in there and work on your latest thing and visit with the people you know well, but maybe this is the different time. Do you have a story from CEO Space, a cool thing that happened to you in all your years? How long have you been going, James?
Well, this actually marks my
He's phrased.
third year. This is my third year. This is my third-year anniversary today.
No, it's not. It's longer than that, really. Only 3?
Yeah, that's it. So, yeah, because this is the 16th forum since I started coming, and I missed the one when I was sick.
Mm-hmm.
And so I gosh, what back in November or something, I think it was. So no, this is the 16th forum that if it wasn't for that one forum, this would have been my 16th in a row. And honestly, I think the most, the biggest epiphany I think I had, the lessons that you don't expect to learn, I think sometimes is what really makes this forum and any forum for that matter where you're getting together on a consistent basis with and there's a core group of people that you know really well. So there's a lot of unexpected lessons, there's a lot of epiphanies, and for me, I think the most significant was when I met you, and that was when we were doing staff together, which was my second forum, and we had about a dozen of us managing the staff, and at least a couple hundred people here. I don't know, I can't remember what it was, but it was a good size. And I had never, I've been a leader. I've managed, 30 employees at a time and projects and so forth, but I'd never really worked on a team where everybody knew their part. Everybody knew what was expected of them. Everybody knew that they were expected to be on time. That there was really no room, or very little room, if at all, for excuses when it came to that. And it really was the first time that I ever felt like I was part of a very high performance team. And I've been a leader in that process, but I've never actually been a participant where we didn't really have a conductor, or Leslie was facilitating everything along with Jim, but they didn't micromanage us at all. Mm-hmm. And it was a very, very, that was such a fun experience for me. And it was, what's interesting is I wanted to do it over and over. I thoroughly wanted to do it again, and I haven't done it since.
Yeah.
But
I'm really glad you picked staffing. That I hadn't even thought of that. And staffing was, I mean, I think I staffed about 14 times. I don't know for sure. And I mean, the lessons that you do learn being in a group of people that are used to being the boss, they're all leaders of their own companies, so they're all the boss. And then you put them all together and you say, guess what? Now you're going to be, not the boss. You're going to be part of a team, and somebody else is going to be the boss. And watching how people can really struggle with that, they're determined to say, no, I know how we should do this. And how they have to let go of some of those roles. And they do. Over the period of a week, as we work together, they begin to really see these kinds of changes in themselves and begin to find their spot, like you said, know what they're supposed to be doing and let go of the stuff that they don't need to worry about because somebody else is going to take care of it. And really come together in a really high functioning team. It's really fun to be a part of, and a huge lesson to learn out there in the world, while you're growing your own business. How are you going to inspire people to work together and take responsibility for their part, step up if they've made a mistake and be honest about it versus having excuses, like you said.
And own it now, not a week from now or a month from now when 2 or 3 more things have piled up and everybody's, getting agitated. And because that's something that I've been really thinking about lately is how easy it is for frustrations, miscommunications, anything like that to come up in an environment, whether it's at home with your family, your kids, your wife, whatever, or if it's as a team at work. And if someone was late, they were called on it in the moment. Everybody acknowledged it in the moment. And then at the end of the day, when we were all done, we got together as a group and addressed that issue. And so when you woke up the next day, guess what? Clean slate. There were no issues. You weren't carrying a grudge. You weren't frustrated with somebody. And so, I mean, I was late one day by 5 minutes, and I wrote everything down on my trusty little schedule, and somehow swapped the 8 o'clock the next day with the 8:05 for the day. And what was really probably the biggest epiphany in that was when I walked into that room 5 minutes behind everybody else. Basically, somebody had to step out of their momentum to bring me up to speed and let me know what was going on, who was doing what we were doing next, all of this stuff that I missed, where I could have become kind of a liability the whole day for that one, because we were operating on a very high level. And I didn't want to do that again. I mean, I walked into that room, and that feeling I had, my gut hit the floor, and I thought, number one, I'm rarely late to things as it is. So to be late when I'm really not supposed to be late, it really had an impact on me. And for the first time, I saw how 5 minutes can make a difference, especially in a situation like that where you've got 11 other people who have some serious momentum behind them, and I'm walking into the room and I don't know what to do. So that was really neat, and I was bound and determined to not be late again. So
yeah, and so it's affected you ever since. I think the lessons that we learned about how to just own it, like you said, and just be done with it, instead of stewing about it forever or judging other people about what they're doing. It for me, it's impacted my life out here in a really, out here, like away from CEO space, whatever. I mean, if there's an issue, it's much easier to just sort of say, okay, I was late. This is what it means. This is the consequence of it, understanding the impact, but also just being able to let it go and not be caught up in it, caught up in the emotion of judging and failure and problems, but just saying, okay, what did we learn? What do we got to do next? What's the impact? How am I going to avoid, make sure I don't do that again? If it's a real problem, of course, then that's some self-work we have to do. But I've appreciated that a lot. And I hadn't thought about it, so I'm really glad you brought it up. Staffing is a wonderful experience. If you're watching and you're wondering about it, go do it. You'll love it, and you'll make great friendships that last for a really long time.
Every person that was on that I met through that process, I feel a kinship with them, like it's non-existent in that respect with others. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I even remember the names and see the faces when I think about it of 2 or 3 that I haven't seen for a long time. And in fact, Jim Wilkinson's here with his wife, and they're staffing. He's one of our platinums. Uh-huh. He's staffing. So it really just goes to show you that when you take that ego side of leadership and you set it aside and you realize that the greatest leaders out there are true examples. They're not afraid to roll up their sleeves and get dirty. And if there's a problem, they're gonna sit down and work through that with you or with that team, and not try to be the leader of that team if that team has a leader. Nobody likes it when somebody steps in and says, "I'm taking over." And I think it's real easy especially in a crisis situation, it's really easy if you're the boss or the owner, you have 5, 10, 12, whatever, 30, 100, 300 employees, it's easy to step in and say, I've had it, this is enough, I'm taking over, when it could be an opportunity to give whoever is in charge of that team an opportunity to rise up a level and feel better at the end of the day as well. So, sorry. Definitely a soapbox because it was such a great experience.
Servant leadership sounds like what you're talking about, and that, yeah, being on staff is an opportunity to learn a lot more about that, and it's making me think that maybe May, you and I could be on staff again. We haven't done it for a long time. It would be fun. I mean, I really enjoyed it for all those reasons that you're talking about, and I think that I love the fact that Jim is doing it because, he almost always does staff when he's there. So I'm curious, how about some of the faculty that you've met, some of the connections you've made there? Have there been ones that were terrifically inspiring or just, I'll share a little bit of a story, and I don't know if it's a faculty member in specific, but what happened for me over my time coming to CEO Space, we sit at tables, we share, and there's always a mentor, a faculty person at every table to sort of guide the conversation, to help people articulate what it is they need next, what they're working on, and then to guide all the brainstorming that happens. And somewhere along that process, and this was really fun for me, maybe I'd been going for a year, I don't know. At some point, I began to say, well, how about we do this? There was this shift that happened where, I was always really delicate about it. It's like, excuse me, whoever the person was that was running the table, I'd say, I just wanted to add this idea, or would this word work, or how about this connection, and began to feel my own self having value to contribute. And it was just a really, really, really nice thing. And, when I first arrived at CEO Space, I felt like, wow, I'm in paradise and I can do anything I want. And look at all these people and all these different success stories. And wow, I don't even know where to begin. And I felt kind of overwhelmed and puny and small and inadequate, those kinds of things. But I also knew it was a really safe place, and I really wanted to be there, and I knew I could grow there, and then I did. And so I'm just wondering if you have any experiences like that over time, or maybe with the faculty in particular, because they were so gracious, all of them, in allowing me to transform and have some input. And I don't recall any of them ever sort of being like, hey, this is my table, and you know, you don't have anything to say here, you're just another member. It was just never like that, and it was wonderful to be able to share gifts that way and realize that I had gifts to share, because in the beginning I wasn't so sure of that. Anything like that for you?
I think the fact that I've been able to come back basically 15 times in a row, I missed one. Getting to where I don't even want to count it. I was here in spirit.
Well, let's not talk about it anymore.
No. I know. I'm just saying though. Being that I've had that consistency, the relationships I have with literally every faculty member here, all of the mentors, is definitely way above par. And it's refreshing, and it is definitely kind of fed that side of me that is navigating this process of building an empire, if you will.
A rock star empire. Woohoo!
No, so they're deeply rooted friendships. Very few places, I mean, literally very few places I go, and even in Southern Utah with Corporate Alliance and my involvement there for the last few years, I don't give hugs to everybody when I see them. But when I come here and I see these, you know, we see each other every couple of months, I truly look forward to that, to making that connection again, to picking up where we left off, to exploring those issues that we're dealing with, and that there's no other place that I can get that. So and that's why I, you know, when I came, I made that choice and that decision to pursue a platinum membership, because I'm actually pretty good at making up excuses, or not making them up, but letting things become excuses. Things happen, life happens, everything is in flux. It's real easy to pull something out and make that an excuse for not pushing as hard as you might need to push, or making those phone calls you need to make, or getting that work done you need to get done. And so when I did make that choice, it was to eliminate one of the biggest excuses I might have in coming here, and that would be the expense of coming every time. So it was, I can honestly say, one of the top 10 best decisions I've ever made. And it's given me the liberty and the opportunity to nurture those relationships, to keep coming back, and to establish that rapport and credibility, if you will, because ultimately, I remember just a couple of years back, I was having lunch with the president, just retired, the university president for Dixie State University, and it was asked amongst the everybody at our table, what one thing can you share that has made a huge difference in your life? And he literally basically said, just show up.
Yep. That's how you
and he went on to share this story, basically, that and he didn't come out and literally say it, but I was left with the impression the reason he was the president of the university is because he attended all the meetings and he never missed any. And people came to rely on him, depend on him, trust him, that he would show up, that he would get the job done. And, you know, he was just sharing that he was no different than any other professor at 2 or 3 different universities that he was going through. And then he landed there in southern Utah. And next thing he knew, he was the president of the university. And it wasn't something that he was intentionally pursuing, but it happened. And that was his thing. You know, 90% of the success is showing up. And it was really just kind of neat to hear him say that. But in that respect, or with that in mind, that's what I get by coming here, connecting with incredibly brilliant people who are very established in their industry, attorneys, accountants, business owners, mentors, investors, you name it. And it's nice to get that very colleague kind of related mentoring and to be able to bounce those things off of someone who gets where you're at. So,
you know, I remember in my beginning time with CEO Space, my first year, maybe 2 years, there every approaching conference, you know, a couple weeks before, 3 weeks before, I would go through this whole, oh, I can't really afford it. Oh, maybe I shouldn't go this time. All this stuff, which is, I think, kind of what you're talking about. And forgive me, my cat is doing something in the papers over there, and I know there's a noise. Yeah, I'm like, shut up. But I went through that a lot, and for me, part of being platinum has really, yeah, the same kind of thing. It's like I'm committed to this group of people. I'm committed to myself, and I don't have that excuse anymore about the money. I mean, there's still an expense to going away for up to a week, obviously, but not nearly what there would be otherwise. And you know, part of, and I don't want to talk about CEO Space and celebrate it without saying a little bit about my own story and what brought me in there, because I think it's a huge gift that some people might not know about. And what brought me to CEO Space originally was my son, because they have a teen program. So I could always find a way to come back when it was time for a teen program, because he got such an incredible benefit out of it. I mean, he was really struggling with who he is in the world, and he was, I think, 15 at the time. Now he's 21. And it really, I mean, I have no problem saying that I think that CEO Space and the teen program there saved his life. And if it didn't save his life in a physical sense, it certainly saved his life from going down a lot of really negative roads that would have been a real struggle to come out of. And so that's what brought me there initially, was him. And maybe this is a program that would benefit him. And then I just went, oh, wow, this is a great place and I really like it, but I have to figure out how I fit here. And that was fine, because as a mom, my motivation was my child. And that's okay. That's a pretty good motivation to have, I think. But it meant that I struggled a lot with this idea of building a business and what kind of business could I do and what do I have to offer, like I said before. And one of the most impactful things that ever happened for me at CEO Space was listening to Les Brown one time. And he's been, I don't know, you know, he's a fabulous speaker, and I think he's been there at least 10 of the times that I've been there. So I've heard his speech, which is often very much the same, many times. And he always says, you know, some of you will hear my voice and some of you won't. And that's why other people need to chime in and give their voice, because maybe you hear Les, or maybe you hear Sarah, or maybe you hear James, but all of us are saying the same thing, which is you have value and you have gifts to give, and we believe in you. So get out there and do it. But different ways to hear and different times that you can hear. So he was saying something similar to what I'd heard other times, but he said, ask yourself right now, what brought you to CEO Space? What brought you here? And I, at that moment, listened and heard him and thought, well, what brought me here was my family. It wasn't a business, it was my family. And for many, many members, it's a business, and that's what it's supposed to be, if there's a supposed to. We are all attracted for different reasons, but CEO Space is built, the idea is to help people grow businesses in a collaborative way. We can grow a business, make a lot of money, serve a lot of people, and we don't have to be competitive. So that's the basis. That's what Bernie wanted to build. And so a person coming in about her teenager is kind of not, maybe an outlier is what you would say. So when Les asked that question, and I remembered, well, I came here because of my family, I immediately settled in a whole new way, because I had been looking at different business opportunities, different ideas. Maybe I could do this, maybe I could do that. I was trying all these things on, and none of them felt right. And I was feeling a little bit unhappy with myself because of that. Like, you should be able to do something. You're smart. What's your problem? Come on, just pick something and do it. But when I remembered, well, what brought me here was my family, I just went, oh, okay, that's why I'm here. It doesn't mean that I'm never going to build a business of any kind of merit, but that's why I came here, and that's what I'm doing here. That's where I need to look when I'm looking for guidance again, when I feel a little lost. I need to get back to that center, and the center for Sarah is her family, and that's okay. And the reason I'm bringing it all up, at least in part, is because you and I have both seen people come in, they join CEO Space, they come for one forum, maybe two, and then they fade away. And I'm always afraid they fade away because they feel like they didn't get what they thought they were going to get. And I don't know if that's true. Maybe they're fading away because their life is so busy, because they've built so much wonderful stuff that they want, their success, their dreams, that they don't have time. But that's great, but we don't know because we don't hear from them. But I'm afraid of what it is that one question they forgot, which is, why did you come initially? What really brought you here? And are you keeping that in mind? Because sometimes we get distracted by all the cool stuff we see when we get there. This new invention that somebody has, maybe I should follow him. Or this new product, oh, that looks good, maybe I could be part of that. And not remembering why you came. And if you remember why you came and what your dream was, it may do the same thing for you that it's done for me, which is really solidify, yes, this is okay. I can continue to grow here and benefit here if I just keep in mind what it was that brought me here to begin with. So there's my soapbox. Bernie, in September, we'd love you like crazy. And we want you to know that what you've built is hugely valuable, and it's been really valuable for us. We could probably go on and on. And I know I'm not saying it's the end of our conversation, because I'm sure James has more. But we will be there for you all week in spirit, if nothing else. And our show next week, I'll be in CEO Space with James, so we can have some other people speaking a little bit and talking a little bit more about some of these things. James, would you like to say anything else today?
Only that we're thinking about you, September, and Bernie, we're thinking about you, and our hearts are with you. And just stay safe and take care of what matters. It's always good to be here. It's always good to kick off our week like this, and it's going to be a good week. When are you coming in?
I will be coming in Wednesday. My plan is to be there by the time that Dan Clark speaks, which you can verify for me right now, because I can't miss Dan. I love him still. And I think I'll have to leave at like 1 o'clock in the morning to get there in time to do that. We have lots of snow here now, so the driving may be a challenge, at least the first part, and I'll be driving in. But he's on Wednesday, like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, maybe?
10:30.
10:30 in the morning. Okay, so I'll have to leave at midnight. I may start driving Tuesday night. I don't know. It's going to be a little bit of a crunch. But there's people I want to see. There's a lot of people there. So, okay. Yeah, we wouldn't even have Monday Momentum if it wasn't for you, CEO Space. So we love you. And again, all our best to all of you, all the grads, all the people that have colored my life over the last 7 years, including you, Jane. Wouldn't have any of it if I hadn't followed that gut instinct to see if this might be a good thing for my kid. It's given us so much, and so many other people so much. And the most important thing probably is that love and camaraderie, even though that sounds too woo-woo for a lot of you. To me, that's really
Well,
what it is.
I might have I probably will have my son with me next time. My daughter might come. She did the teen group when we were doing staff together.
Mm-hmm.
And so he'll probably be coming down. He's been dying to come, and he just turned 13, and he just wants to hang out with Dad for a week. So I'll definitely be bringing him next time. So I think that's going to be the next teen group, right?
The next one will be July, so in May, no teens. I mean, you can bring it, but you won't have a program.
Okay. Well, that's why in my head I was thinking July.
Yeah, it must be nicer weather there where you are. Okay. Well, let's sign off. We'll see all of you next week. If you want to reach James, I know you can reach him through See Me Space. I know he doesn't have a lower third today. And you can find me at mymondaymomentum.com. Next week, our plan, our hope is we're going to be able to pull this off, that we're going to have just some little video snippets of all the things that are happening at the expo and some of the other teachers. So for those of you who are grads and are missing home, can't get there, watch our show next week. And for those of you who are trying to figure out what are they always talking about this place, you want to watch that show too, so you'll see. So go have a great week, kick some rear, build your business, chase your dream, and we'll see you next Monday. Take care. Bye-bye.